Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:15, and I call to order the special closed session of the City of Emeryville being conducted in person at 1333 Park Avenue, Emeryville, California. Please call roll.
Councilmember Mora? Here. Councilmember Pryforce?
Here.
Councilmember Welch? Here. Vice Mayor Solomon? Here. And Mayor Carr.
Present. Are there any ex-parte communications on the items for this agenda? Seeing and hearing none, we will go to public comment on closed session items only. There are no members of the public commenting on the closed session items only, so we'll go to a closed session and convene in the separate room for the closed session. It is now 7:02 p.m. The closed session is adjourned. We are starting the regular meeting of the City of Emeryville. Please take roll.
Councilmember Mora?
Here.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Here.
Councilmember Welch?
Here.
Vice Mayor Solomon? Here. And Mayor Carr.
Present.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the final agenda of the day?
Motion to approve the final agenda.
Second.
Please take vote.
Councilmember Mora?
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Solomon? Aye. And Mayor Carr.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Are there any council member special announcements or reports on meeting attendance this evening? Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to move to the next item, which is the city manager's report. Is there anything to report, Madam Manager?
Good evening, Mayor. There's nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Manager. The next item on agenda is the ex parte communications. Are there any ex parte communications for the items on this agenda? Seeing and hearing none, we will move to public comment for consent agenda and items not on agenda. Welcome to the podium.
I might need my reading glasses. I'm Fran Quittel. Hello. I serve on 2 financial advisory committees, and I'm a long-term resident of Emeryville. I'm speaking as a citizen. About 13,000 people live in our city, 70% of whom are renters. And when people come to work here, that perhaps doubles our population, all requiring services. This year and next, we need a general fund of about $55 million, and our annual deficits will run about $10 million a year. In this context, now let's look at the Public Works multimodal project, a 3-year, $34 million endeavor with many unanswered and ignored questions. We need updated data and traffic studies about how this project from 2017 could possibly work or not work, that the city understands the impact this project imposes on significant multiple areas, that we are not flying blind. If passed, 2 top possible ballot measures, raising taxes and fees for businesses and property owners, might cover the general fund gap. But that presumes the general fund remains intact, and sales tax, its largest component, still provides 16%, or about $8 million annually. Although we are a major retail destination and we might become a major healthcare destination, how does the multimodal project affect these projections? Do you know? It is true that Latifah Simon obtained $500,000 to help fund 40th Street. That's only 1.5% of the $34 million needed.
Is there any member of the public willing to yield time?
Thank you.
Mayor Card, for a point of order, since the public comment concerns 40th Street, Councilmember Pryforce might want to recuse himself on advice of the city attorney's office. If you could wait for just a minute for him to leave the room.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. Thank you for yielding your time, ma'am. Please continue.
It's true that Latifah Simon obtained $500,000 to help fund 40th Street. That's only 1.5% of the $34 million needed. BART can't help. It's drafting its own ballot measures to keep 10 stations open. And on a federal level, I hope you're aware the 2021 bipartisan infrastructure law is set to expire on September 30th, 2026. It plans to yank funds from projects like ours, which would leave our city in utter limbo. In our own inimitable way, however, we are lucky. We still have good choices. We can provide an excellent complete biking solution by connecting Park Avenue to the Greenway, a solution repeatedly proposed by established advocates of urban biking, which seems to be completely ignored. We can avoid the disruptions of San Francisco, San Mateo, and Castro Valley among them, which have rolled back bike lanes due to disruption, confusion, and lower revenue. We can keep our general fund and all the services and salaries we provide intact. Of all the topics we've studied in the 8 or 10 years I've served on the Budget Advisory Committee and my shorter time on the Economic Development Committee, understanding how sales tax and general fund revenue would be affected by the multimodal project is probably the most important. I hope members of the community and council ask the advisory committees to study these issues and present the data publicly. That's my request. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other members of the public for a public comment? Welcome.
Council. My name is Joyce Cunningham, and to tag on to Fran, the retailers, all the corporate retailers have not been notified. The city failed to notify them through this entire process from multimodal. I've reached out to Federal Realty, 32 acres for the East Bay Bridge Center, never received any contact from the city.
Mayor Carr, just a point of clarification. I believe the current speaker yielded her time to the prior, or was the other?
It was another member of the public.
Apologies for the interruption.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Please continue.
Credit the speaker's time.
Yes, the Madam Clerk has already credited her the time.
Thank you. These retailers include Target, Home Depot, Best Buy, Nordstrom, Burlington Coat Factory, Michaels, Total Wine & More, Office Club, including IKEA. No one reached out to IKEA, very surprising. Pete's Coffee has 200 employees right on Park Street, never notified, property owners never notified. Metagenomics has 137 employees, same. City failed to notify. So for a project like this, when you look at 16% sales tax revenue from these retailers alone, 14% business license fees, that's 30% of the city budget. Then you factor in property taxes of 12%, 12% for hotel. It's 52% of the city budget that pays for staff salaries and city services. If you look downstairs, your strategic plan clearly states support of existing businesses and attracting new ones, proactive engagement with the business community. So why has the city failed to communicate with these retailers? We need them, or the city, their funds will dry up. So with that, we ask the city to be more transparent, to keep the city of Emeryville running afloat for the future going forward. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any further members of the public for a public comment?
Why did the city attorney just interrupt the speaker? He didn't know what he's talking about, and he interrupted her, interrupting her flow of thought. and he interjected and out of ignorance. So I say the city attorney is ignorant, and he should stop interfering with the public comment unless he knows for sure what he's talking about, and clearly that's not the case. And speaking of not knowing what public officials are talking about, I'm now speaking about the mayor, Mayor Carr. Last time I was here, you, Mayor Carr, interjected yourself and castigating your colleague, Councilmember Pryforce, for having the temerity to ask questions of a staff member, an expert in the topic at hand. We're talking about he wanted to ask an expert staff member their opinion about something so he could make an informed vote. And you, the mayor, stopped him based on what you said was your reading of the Roberts Rules of Order. What do we care about that? We don't care about that. What we care about is first precedent and stare decisis. We care about like this thing that we built here at City Hall. And you like come in like a bull in a china shop and disrupt the whole thing. And for why? Why did you do it? Why are you castigating your fellow council member, who, by the way, is the lone progressive on this council? The rest of you are corporate Democrats. This guy's a DSA, Democratic Socialist of America Democrat. And so you're castigating him publicly and taking him down. But this man, this council member, Kalima Pryforce, he's the most popular council member in Emeryville. How do we know? Because he got the highest percentage of votes, more than you and more than the other three.
Thank you for your comment. Any further
Anything else
members
to
of the
say?
public?
Anything else to say?
Please leave the podium for the next member.
No,
of
you
the
have to
public.
ask if there anybody wants to yield their time, because you asked that of the last speaker. It's in 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause. You need fair and equal treatment under the law. You asked the people assembled here, does anybody want to yield
Please
their time?
leave
You
the
need to
podium.
ask that right now for me. You need to ask that of the council, of the people in the chambers. I need fair and equal treatment. You need to ask.
You will please leave the podium.
You need to ask, is there anybody willing to yield their time to me? You just did it for the previous speaker. This would be a 14th Amendment violation you're doing right now. You need to treat me the same as you treat other people.
Sir,
Ask if there's anybody that wants to yield their time to me like you asked the last speaker. You need to do that. It's the law.
this is the mayor's prerogative. Please leave
So
the
you're going to
podium.
break the law based on the mayor's prerogative. John Kennedy, city attorney, I need you to weigh in on this. 14th Amendment, does it apply to the Emeryville City Council in the City Council chambers? Does it apply?
Mayor Carr, there is no 14th Amendment protection at issue here. If no one has yielded his time for the speaker, then the speaker has used up his time for public comment.
City attorney
Thank you, sir.
Kennedy, the mayor needs to ask, just like she did for the previous speaker.
Sir,
You
you're
need
being
to ask for
disruptive.
fair and equal treatment.
I'm going to have to ask you to please leave.
Fair and equal treatment, that's what I'm asking for. Fair and equal treatment. Am I going to get it?
Captain Kalange, I'm going to have to ask you to please remove the citizen from the podium.
Okay, I'm being arrested now because I asked for fair and equal treatment. I'm being arrested right here, right now. You're arresting me because I asked for the same treatment as the previous speaker got. Put the handcuffs on.
You are not arrested.
Yes,
I
if I'm
are-
moved from this location by a police
No
officer,
one has
that's an
yielded
arrest.
their
That's
time
an
to you,
arrest.
sir. No one has
I'm
yielded their
asking for
time.
fair and equal treatment like other speakers have gotten. The exact
You
same, no
are-
more, no less.
I was saying, I will not be arguing with you. No one in the public yielded their
Have
time
them
to
arrest
you.
me then.
No one is arresting you. No
Okay,
members of the
then let
public
me
have
say
yielded their
again then.
time
If
to you.
nobody's arresting me, let me say again.
You can also ask. The public hasn't yielded their time to you, sir. Please,
You didn't ask. You need to ask.
it doesn't matter
You
if I
asked for the
ask
last
or not.
speaker. You need to ask. Okay, the vice mayor is leaving because he's not a believer in democracy. He's not a believer in fair and equal treatment under the law. The vice mayor's left. Councilmember Welch has left because she's not a believer in fair and equal treatment under the law. The city attorney doesn't believe in fair and equal treatment under the law. The mayor, it's up to you. Are you a believer in that? Let us know right now, please.
Sir, you were welcome to ask any member of the public to yield their time
No,
to you.
you're
They
gonna
did
ask.
not. No,
You
I
need
don't
to
have
ask. That's
to.
what you did the last time. I'm asking you for fair and equal treatment. No more, but no less. What are you going to do? It's in your court. The ball is in Sukti Kar's court, the mayor. Okay, the sergeant at arms just left. What do you want to do here?
I'm asking you to leave the podium and stop
No,
disrupting.
but I'm saying
the
I will as soon as you say, does anybody yield their time? And off goes David Murrah, city council member who doesn't believe in fair and equal treatment for all citizens equally. Off David Murrah goes.
This meeting
Off
is
goes the city
suspended at
attorney.
this time because a member of the public has disrupted the meeting and there is no quorum at
I'm not
this time.
disrupting. I'm asking for fair and equal treatment. Thank you.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
It is now 7:23 p.m. I reconvene the meeting of the Emeryville City Council. Any members of the public wishing to make public comment, please come to the podium.
I look short like a midget here. Good evening to you all, and the principal reason I came here, I love this, as the way the city is put together, very clean, and some of the businesses well organized, and I give credit to the administrators of this city, and continue your good work and to be, so that others could imitate the way your settings of this city. Thank you very much to you all, and my noble Anthony, the way you welcome me, and my beloved April and others, Thank you for your kindness.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Any further public comments? Seeing and hearing none, we will go to the consent calendar. Councilmember Mora.
I just wanted to note I'm looking to pull item 9.5 for discussion.
Item 9.5 is pulled from the consent calendar. Is there a motion on items 9.1 through 9.4?
Motion to approve items 9.1, 9.4 for the consent agenda, excluding 9.5 for discussion.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Welsh, seconded by Vice Mayor Solomon. Please take vote.
Councilmember Mora?
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Solomon?
Aye.
And Mayor Carr.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 9.5 is the resolution of the City Council of the City of Emeryville establishing a program for the installation of little free libraries in the public right-of-way. This item has been pulled from consent for further discussion. Councilmember Mora.
Yeah, I had a few questions. I know we talked about the little library program, and I know it's been in development for a while, so I'm glad that we now have guidelines and an application process. But a few things jumped out at me that I thought we could maybe dig into further and fine-tune the guidelines. I noticed that it requires a 3 feet clearance from street trees. So, that's like a six feet, altogether. So that might kind of preclude some areas where I know I've already seen some existing little libraries. So I'm kind of wondering about that constraint. And then the other constraint I saw was if somebody's looking to put up a little library, they need to get letters of support from their neighbors. And it just seems to me like that could be a little burdensome to an applicant, who previously they could just put up a little library. Now they need to put together letters of support. Sometimes neighbors might have disputes on other issues, and they might, it would be to the detriment of the city that we have fewer little libraries, because maybe somebody's neighbor doesn't want to approve their neighbor's little library. And then, I saw some of the dimensions, 18 by 18 by 24. It seemed a little overly prescriptive. And again, I think I've seen libraries that are larger than that. So those were a few specific issues I wanted to ask the staff if they had thought about. And then but then overall, our overarching one is just general non-conformance, and float for this council whether we want to, as part of this program, grandfather in existing little libraries that might be non-conforming as they are. Everything as of this date, we could just say, look, there was previously no program. So that's just something for this council to consider. But I'm looking for staff input on those three constraints: the 3-foot radius from street trees, the dimensions, the 18 by 18 by 24, and then also whether we can reconsider the letters of support from nearby property owners.
Yeah, happy to speak on that. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeff Jelsman. I'm the management analyst with Public Works and author of this resolution. And so, yeah, to speak to your points, so the 3 feet from trees was based on guidance of other jurisdictions that have a similar program or policy around little libraries. Also, as a way to protect the tree itself. So, like, the roots tend to be a root ball around the tree, so protecting the space just in that immediate area of the tree was the basis of that 3 feet there. And then for the letters of support from the neighbors or signatories from the adjacent property owners was kind of just based on creating some camaraderie in the neighborhood so that everyone knew it was going in and everyone was okay with it, was kind of the basis behind that. And then the dimensions also, again, was brought in from previous jurisdictions. So in January of last year, not myself, but my predecessor came, did a study session on little libraries with you all, and those dimensions were based off of that discussion. So happy to discuss that more, but that was kind of taken from the previous study session and guidance that came from my predecessor in previous discussions. Also, other jurisdictions had similar dimensions on that, and so that's where that was coming from, best practices as well as previous conversations with council.
And then just the last point that I had made, the question about the possibility of grandfathering in existing little libraries that maybe it may have existed for 10 plus years without the existence of any program. Is that anything that staff has given some thought into, or are we thinking that we would go start issuing notices of violation or start working with those property owners to bring their little libraries into conformance?
Yeah, so this is, entirety of this program would be complaint-based, so we wouldn't be going out and necessarily looking for these libraries and make sure that they're in compliance with the policy or guidelines. So,
let's assume a flurry of complaints.
yeah, okay. Then we would be looking at that based through the where it is, well, the nature of the complaint itself, and then also looking at the current setup in terms of where it is installed. So if it's impeding on ADA access or pedestrian or bicycle or vehicle access or movement, trees are a big one. And so those would all be considered in that, whether or not we could actually keep it in the right of way.
Thank you.
Councilmember Pryforce.
I wanted, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to follow up on Councilmember Moore's question. So would it be possible for there not to be sort of letters of request to neighbors, but just sort of informing neighbors when someone decides to put up a little library, as opposed to, because one of the things that I am concerned, because it'll lead on to my next question, is sometimes neighbors don't get along. Actually, sometimes neighbors hate each other. And then what happens? And then comes, well, what happens when neighbors have different property sizes and with them egos? And then there's this straight out discrimination, right? A woman decides that she wants to put out a little library dedicated to supporting queer youth. And then somebody says, oh, no, that makes me uncomfortable. What happens in those sort of situations? So that's my question is it possible for us to pull back on requesting approval from neighbors and just make it that it is aware, maybe even a book list, to the neighbors, and then they just have to share that in their application with us or their renewal. Or is there a renewal? Is there a renewal process?
No, there is not a renewal process built into this. But to answer your question, yes, we could definitely accommodate that if that's the wish of the council, yes.
Gotcha.
We could change those guidelines and amend those.
Okay.
Make it more of a, less so of a letter of support and more just notifying neighbors.
Gotcha. So the renewal question actually is an interesting one. I think it's a good idea for us to consider renewals. Is that something that we would have to discuss now, or do you guys like kind of look at that? Or okay, well, a good question is renewals common amongst little libraries in other areas?
That's a good question. I'd have to look.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I think, again, based off of the advice and wishes of the council from the study session that we had last year, we really wanted to make this a low level of commitment, both on the sponsors of the libraries, but also on staff, given that there's no fees involved. And so there'd be little to no cost recovery for any staff time put towards this. So we don't have any kind of renewal process built into this application for that reason.
Okay. Thank you. I think it would be a good idea to explore that because of two scenarios. One is that the content that the library is hosting might change, as well as I think the little library is associated with the actual property. So what happens when Johnny, who's in the basement, reads too many red pill literature and goes total manosphere, and so then he takes over the property and then decides to change the little library into something that is inappropriate, right? So maybe something that, but at the same time, want to acknowledge it being sort of low labor. So maybe 5 or 10 years, like something lengthy, but at least something where we kind of at least have some sort of assessment. And who knows, we might need it for reporting reasons as well. Let's say if there's a grant, heavens to Betsy, that there's a huge federal grant and someone wants to give us money, then we can say, well, okay, here's at least our reporting history. So is that something that could be also looked at, like if maybe 5 years, 6, 7 years? So it is like, it's not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, so the Little Free Library has there's like a nonprofit organization behind it. They do have data on existing libraries that are placed within California and I think in the nation. And so we can encourage applicants to then place their location on that map, which then can be used to kind of monitor all the different libraries in the city, because that would both be helpful for staff, but also it's publicly available. So the public can know where all the libraries are in the city as well. So that could help with at least showing folks where those are in the city, and then having that kind of data source for both staff and the public. In terms of content moderation, I did build that into the guidelines. Basically, it's just there's some self-governance based, and so it would be on the sponsor and their community to kind of take care of the library. Again, it's complaint-based, so the city would not be checking or moderating that content by any means. And so that's where we stand on that with the guidelines as they stand right now.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman Pryforce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I was thinking when it comes to the content. So it's the nonprofit organization. Does the nonprofit organization have an approved list? And does that list sync up with, let's say, the public library list, like Golden Gate Branch? So that Golden Gate Branch becomes, so that Golden Gate Branch becomes sort of like a partner. And so that would almost eliminate any issue around content moderation because it wouldn't just be any book that could be in a little library, but it's actually a book that has gone through some sort of filter because it's a book that you would find at the Golden Gate branch, for example. Like sort of just like partnership with a public library, and it'll be low labor because it's just a list, right? And they would just check to see, oh, is this book with the a book that you can get from the library, as opposed to books that necessarily aren't published, and then thus they may have some interesting materials in them. And that's what I think that's my concern. And so I'm thankful for my colleague pulling this item because I think it was an issue that I raised earlier, which is around content moderation. I am concerned with the spread of Nazism in this country and nationalism, and it's a lot of stuff that's happening that this could be exploited. And while at the same time, I also don't want it to be Big Brother as well, wherein, let's just say, this council chamber has changed and there's been a culture shift, and then suddenly we start approving little libraries versus other little libraries that may necessarily not align with one another. Just in case we all just join the empire and we decide to, just be evil. How do we best moderate the content without being one Big Brother, and the other is how do we do that without allowing for anything that is in book form to just show up for the little libraries? And so that was my concern previously, and that's still my concern. And so I'm wondering, is it possible that there could be a partnership with a public library system like Golden Gate and the Oakland Public Library and so on?
Yeah, well, thank you for your comment. I'm going to defer the city attorney on the content moderation.
Thank you. In response to your question, Councilmember Pryforce, the issue is the First Amendment, and anytime the city steps in and attempts to regulate speech, there's a state action requirement that's fulfilled, and the city can only regulate speech to the extent that is currently allowed by First Amendment jurisprudence. So we'd have to craft a policy that would comply with as existing case law regarding those areas of speech that can be prohibited, but we could not prohibit any speech that is permissible. So discussions about Nazism and other kind of content-based speech could be viewed as political speech, and therefore the city could not prescribe those types of books from being in little libraries or risk a potential First Amendment lawsuit. So that's kind of the issue that we're dealing with here a little bit. There is protected speech, but there's areas that the Supreme Court has indicated fall outside the bounds of protected speech, but those areas are very, very narrow.
Councilmember Pryforce.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, thank you, City Attorney. And you did mention that last time I brought this topic up, and I'm wondering what role does the nonprofit then play in all of this as a sort of third party?
So they don't moderate content whatsoever.
Okay.
They're just a convener and technical resource for folks who want to install these libraries in their community. So they have ways of talking with your council members or city jurisdiction about it, like we're doing now, or also like different designs. And then also they provide that map where you can find all the different libraries in your neighborhood. So that's pretty much the gist of what they do. But again, I'm not an expert on what exactly they do, but I think that's more or less what they do.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further discussion, questions, or comments from the dais? We will after any further questions. Thank you so much for your time and answering those questions. We appreciate it.
Of course.
Any public comment on this item only?
I told them I would snap at them. I told them I would do it. I told them I would let them know with a snap when it's time for them to come in. Okay, hello. Okay, Councilmember Murrah, Councilmember Welch, Vice Mayor Solomon, Mayor Carr, you guys can leave now because I'm speaking. So you're free to leave like you did last time I spoke. And if you sit here and continue listening to me, you're going to hear me speaking. Is that something you want to do? Okay, Councilmember Welch is not meeting my eyes right now. She's required to by the Code of Conduct, the Code of Ethics. She's not doing it. Neither is Councilmember Murrah. Who says you have to be actively listening? The city attorney, John Kennedy, says that you guys have to actively listen to me. The last time I spoke, you didn't actively listen. You did what Courtney Welch does, this council member, and you got up and you left, which is not actively listening. Okay, the elephant in the room here is what, with regard to little libraries, what if Brian Donahue puts up a little library? Then what are you gonna do? It seems like Councilmember Pryforce was speaking about that, at least in a dog whistle manner. But what if somebody that's unpopular decides to put up a little library? Surely this podunk city council, this Mayberry city council can't tolerate that. This illiberal and undemocratic city council can't tolerate somebody that's unpopular that you don't like putting up a little library. So what are you going to do about it? And the answer is you're going to stop it. So you need to put that, you need to encode that. So, and then to change the subject, this new mayor of ours keeps telling us that we have to speak on topic.
Thank you for your comment.
You got anything else you'd like to say to the people in the chambers?
I'm moving on to.
No, hold on. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? Because I would like to speak longer. I would like 2 more minutes.
Any further public comments?
I would like to speak 2 more minutes. I would like you to ask somebody if they wants to yield their time.
Would anyone like to yield their time to Mr. Donahue on this subject only for 2 more minutes?
Thank you. That's how it's done.
All right. Is there, the next item on agenda is public hearings. There are no public hearings. Thank you. The public comment on item 9.5 is completed. Is there any discussion on this item?
I had a motion to make. So I think overall the program looks good, but I would just propose that we implement it with 2 changes. So one would be to just remove the requirement for the neighborly letters of support. I think that's messy and kind of invites little library opposition that we don't, it gets into neighborly issues. The second modification I'd like to make is related to grandfathering in existing little libraries. And then I would also like to kind of qualify that by saying that we would make exceptions in the case where there's a pedestrian path of travel is impeded, or there's a pressing safety or maintenance issue. So if there's an existing library that's blocking a fire hydrant, or the tree needs to be cut down or trimmed or something, then the grandfather protection does not apply there. And we can pick the date of this grandfathering in as, like, say, the beginning of this month, so yesterday. Those are my changes, removing the letters. Yeah, go ahead, Member Solomon.
Yes.
Oh, sorry,
Is there
go.
a second to that motion?
Can I ask a clarification
Yeah, go ahead.
of that? So would people, maybe this is a question for staff of how Member Moore's motion would be implemented, but would people have to apply?
No. So there would be no application for existing current standing little libraries that may or may not be non-conforming to the requirements laid forth. The dimensions might be off, the positioning might be too close to a tree. We're just saying, look, this program was not in place. Now it is. You don't need to apply. You're grandfathered in. So we'd be giving a blanket approval to keep those standing.
Councilmember Pryforce, do you have anything to add to the discussion?
So I like the spirit of the grandfathered in the sense that we are removing some of the bureaucracy. However, I like applications so that there is at least some sort of mapping, and that the application is really just to let the city know that it exists, and so that we do have some sort of record that we have a little library that exists. So it wouldn't be like necessarily an application of approval, but just, hey, a status update.
Councilmember David Mora.
So to clarify, I believe staff do know the locations of the little libraries. Maybe there could be a comment on that, or we could use a Google Maps Street View to check at any given point in time.
That is correct. We know the existing locations of current little libraries.
Any further discussion on this item? Is there a second? Did you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I have a question.
You have a question for the staff?
Yeah, I guess I'm curious if there's, for staff's reaction to that motion. It seems reasonable to me, but I just want to make sure that there's nothing I'm missing in terms of potential liability for the city or some other factor that, besides a box being bigger or smaller than, it might otherwise be. I just want to make sure that non-conforming is not.
Mr. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor Carr. In response to Councilmember Solomon's question, if you could clarify, I'm not exactly clear what your question would be.
I guess maybe this is for Public Works, but if we grandfather in existing little libraries that are, that we determine are from a safety perspective, public safety perspective and pedestrian safety perspective are acceptable, are there other factors that, if a tree falls and it's because there's a little library that, was grandfathered in and was already there, is that going to cause an issue? Or are there other, obviously these guidelines are reasonable for new ones, but are there any that I guess you would additionally add as high priority for existing little libraries in order for them to remain that we should consider as high priority for, making sure that all of the ones that exist in the city are up to a certain standard?
Well, in response to your question, if you're grandfathering in existing little libraries, they may or may not conform to these guidelines that are set forth in the proposed program. Whether or not they do, I don't know. That'd be a question for Public Works in terms of what existing little libraries are out there, whether they conform to these guidelines or not. And I think you probably have to evaluate it on a case-by-case basis, whether or not the council is comfortable with grandfathering them in.
I can provide some additional clarification on that. We're aware of the ones that are currently out there in the field. A few of them are attached directly to trees. In some cases, the bark is growing around the metal that connects it to the library. We could end up in a situation just doing regular pruning, accessing the tree with it being directly attached to it, where that may be an issue in the future, but we're happy to work with the little library sponsor if you all choose to grandfather in around those issues, because it's not a large number, so we can make it work.
Any further discussion or second on this motion?
I just want to clarify one thing related to my
Councilmember
motion.
Mora?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to clarify that the date of the grandfathering in should be effective, if there's a date that the city did this survey, I just want to avoid any hastily constructed little libraries in the remaining hours of the day. So, yeah, so we could pick like the start of this month, or I would just say if there's a date related to the survey that was done, I would say that the city completed. Let's pick that date.
Do you want to add that to your motion?
Yes. I might need another second.
Motion, do you have any further items for discussion, Councilmember Pryforce?
Yes, so I'm wondering what the consensus was about the idea of renewal. Do y'all like the idea of a renewal or not? Because if so, then I would like to make an alternative motion that includes everything that was mentioned, plus the idea of maybe a 5 or 10-year renewal.
Councilmember Mora?
Personally, I don't know I don't think we gain that much with the renewal. I prefer to make it less burdensome for the little library owners and any applicants. So and also the staff, just to streamline things.
Okay, all right. Yeah, then I won't make the alternative.
Have you noted the complete motion, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Motion by Member Mora, seconded by Vice Mayor Solomon. Please take vote.
Councilmember Mora?
Aye.
Councilmember Pryforce?
Aye.
Councilmember Welch?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Solomon?
Aye.
And Mayor Carr.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is public hearings. There are none today and no action items. For department head reports, we have item 12.2. Please report.
Thank you, Mayor. Chad Smalley, Community Development Director. This is my report on Planning Commission actions taken at their February 26th meeting. 4 of 7 members of the commission were present, with members Chafe, Rivera, and Vice Chair Henry absent. The commission received the general plan annual progress report, which includes the housing element progress report and housing successor progress report. These reports are anticipated to be before the City Council at your March 17th meeting. The commission also reviewed proposed changes to the planning regulations to implement housing element programs B, HH, and KK. The commission unanimously recommended that the City Council adopt the ordinance making these changes, and this item will be presented to the City Council at your April 7th meeting for first reading of the ordinance. This concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions based on this report? Seeing and hearing none, I'm thanking you, Mr. Smalley, for the report. We will go to the next item on agenda, which is the future agenda item requests. Are there any future agenda item requests at this time? Right, I have one, and that is the consideration of the City of Emeryville to put a resolution supporting the Bay Area Air District's proposed zero emission appliance standards, which is the Rule 9.4 and 9.6. That includes equitable implementation strategies, staff to review template language from regional partners for alignment with the city's legislative platform, climate goals, and equity priorities, and bring forward to council for consideration prior to the May 6th Air District Board meeting, if possible. Is there any support for this item for the zero emission for appliance standards for a resolution?
Oh, were you voting or you had a question?
Oh, no, just show of hands.
There is majority support for this resolution, so we will please place it on future agenda item. Are there any further future agenda item requests? Councilmember Pryforce.
Yes, I'd like to place it as a future agenda item, land acknowledgement, that we review a land acknowledgement procedure wherein we do acknowledge the Ohlone people and the history of the Shell Mound here in Emeryville, and in our role with through development and redevelopment, and the excavation and perhaps the poor treatment of those sites and that land, and recognize that. And so so that's my future agenda item request, is a land acknowledgement.
Is there any support for this item? Seeing no support, the item fails. Next item, please, if there is any. Councilmember Pryforce.
Yes, the Pledge of Allegiance that we haven't had in this council chambers for quite some time, and so I'm requesting that we have a discussion about the return of the Pledge of Allegiance to the council chambers, which I will then demonstrate. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any support for this item? Seeing no support, this item fails. It is now 8 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.
Recording stopped.